There's a lot of great things happening at Tennessee Athletics.
I believe this city is going to be upside down tonight.
Season-long party continues on Rocky Top.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everything Orange podcast. Quick disclaimer before we get started though, this podcast is a little bit longer than normal, but I think you'll understand why once we get into it. Our guest today is returning to Rocky Top for his 5th and final year of eligibility this season. Last year, he finished as Tennessee's leader in scoring, minutes played, 3-pointers made and attempted, and total steals. Coming into this season, he earned preseason All-SEC recognition from a panel of SEC and national media, earning first-team honors. And currently, he is one of only 4 players in program history to total 1,000 points, 300 assists, and 150 steals. You know him, you love him. He's an absolute fan favorite amongst Vol Nation. Please welcome to the Everything Orange podcast, Santiago Vescovi. Santi Vescovi, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
Awesome. So talking about your childhood, growing up in Uruguay, can you talk to me about what it was like living there with your family?
So growing up in Uruguay, when people ask me what Uruguay is like, I always say it's a city, first of all. It's kind of like a New York type of vibe, but smaller. It's just like madness all around, a lot of buildings. Normally it's like houses that are together, like all bunched up. You don't have much room in between them. And yeah, I grew up with my family, my parents and my sister. Grew up there, have a lot of friends. Went to kindergarten, middle school, high school and all that until I was 16. And then that's when I first left home.
So soccer is, or I guess football over there, is the big sport. How did you find basketball and start getting into it?
I played a lot of sports growing up. Literally, I still remember, like, I would talk to my parents now, and they would tell me how they remember when I was a kid. Like, I would come back from school, and then all I would do is go to the club. I don't know if that's a right translation. Not the club.
Not our kind of club, but like a sports complex.
Yeah, to a sports complex. There you go. And then I was spend there literally the whole day. My parents would have to go get me around like 10 p.m. because I was still there.
Okay.
And then the good thing about it is the sport complex, it was like pretty much from the neighborhood. So everybody that went there, like we all knew each other. My parents grew up going there. They met there.
Oh, really?
My grandpa was a really, really good basketball player. He even had his jersey retired.
Wow.
So it was kind of like a family environment where I could go there all day long. My parents knew I was safe the whole time because everybody knew me. I would get literally into any class that I could. Like if there was volleyball going on, I would get in. If there was soccer, I would get in. Basketball, same thing. And yeah, so grew up playing a lot of sports, played soccer growing up, and then kind of got into basketball and volleyball. At the end, it was like the 2 main sports I was playing.
Okay.
Volleyball, my parents met playing volleyball too.
Oh, wow.
And then, as I said, my grandpa played basketball. And then my family really, really loved basketball as a sport, and I enjoyed really playing both until I got to a point where I was probably 13, 14 maybe, when both sports start to collide in times.
Sure, right.
I had to choose one of them because I didn't have time to do both. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, ended up choosing basketball over volleyball, and, yeah, here I am.
When did you kind of realize that this could be a really serious and attainable goal for you? Because you left home at 16, so you were pretty young when it all started for you, but when did it click that you wanted to commit yourself to the game?
At that point, when I was 13, I was still very young, but I was pretty good at that age at basketball, so I just kept playing, and then I had a couple chances to play with the national team. At that point, it was like under 15 or under 16.
Okay.
And we also did pretty good. Personally, I had a very good tournaments. And once I started to grow up, I was closer to 15 maybe. That's when I started to realize, like, I got a pretty good shot at it. I want to make something happen out of it. And that's when I went to my parents and I was like, look, I want to play basketball. Like, I want to do this for a living, like knowing all the opportunities that are out there. So my first thought was, back in Uruguay, like, it's pretty known that, like, people, when they get to a certain level, like, they go out of the country. And to me, basketball was the first thing came to my mind. I was like, I want to play in a high school in the United States.
Okay.
So I told that to my parents. They were like, hey, and that's literally one of the things that I appreciate the most from my parents is how I see in other families how their parents are, like, so attached to their kids that they even, like, scared to leave them. Or
Right. They get in the way of, you know, your aspirations. Right.
And that's literally one of the biggest things that I'm always going to be grateful for. And it's my parents. Like, we are really, really close. I could say I'm a parent's boy. Like, I love to be around them and everything. And I think that gave me, that made me be really secure and know that no matter where I go, they're still going to be there for me. And so when I went up to them and I was like, I want to go play somewhere else, they were like, hey, like, this is your future. If you want to do that, that's your dream, go chase it. We'll support you in the rights and wrongs. And that's one of the biggest things that, like, I really appreciate from them.
So you left when you were 16. Where was your first stop out of Uruguay?
So when I came up to them and I was like, I want to play, I want to go to a high school in the United States, we got in contact with a couple people trying to see who the right contact was to get in here. And we ended up, after I had one of the tournaments that are pretty good, a person came up to us and he was like, well, I know you want to go to the States. At that point, after that tournament, I got invited to a NBA Basketball Without Borders camp in Bahamas. I was really excited about it. And then this guy was like, look, I know you want to go to the States. I'm going to be at that camp. Let me see first how you do there and how everything goes. And then from there, we can see what the options are.
Okay.
So finally, I went to the camp. I was probably 15 at that point. It was in Bahamas. We had the time of our lives. It was literally...
I can only imagine.
It was in the same hotel we went to Bahamas last year.
That's fun.
To the Atlantis, yeah. And the basketball part was really fun, but to me, the most exciting part about that trip was how, like, you would practice in the morning, around 1, you'd be done. And from 1 till whatever time you wanted to go to bed, you were completely free. And
right. No parents.
No, nothing. And the hotel is just
gorgeous, I'm sure.
Yes,
yeah.
It's gorgeous. You're right on the beach. There's, like, water parks in there. There's a bunch of stuff that you can watch. Like, they got sharks and everything and tanks.
Teenager's dream.
Yeah. I was literally
basketball in paradise. What more do you need?
Yeah. I was living the dream at that point.
Yeah.
I remember that last day, they came up to me and they were like, hey, like, we know you want to go to the States, but we're about to open a new NBA academy that is going to be in Mexico for Latin American kids.
Wow.
And I was like, that sounds great.
Sign me up.
Yeah. The problem was,
okay.
I still remember this phone call and I will never forget it. The problem was when I got back to the room, I called my parents and I'm like, yo, they just came up to me and they told me they're going to open an NBA academy and this and that. And my parents were like, great, but, like, what does it mean? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm excited. I don't know if it's, like, a couple months,
right,
the rest of high school, or what it is, but it just sounds cool.
Right. No details. You just knew it was a thing and you were going to go.
Yeah. I just wanted to go, but I didn't know what it was. But then with time after, we started to get more details about it. That's when I found out that it was going to be pretty much the rest of high school before college. And, yeah, that's when it clicked, and I was like, well, it is as cool as I thought. So.
Then you were in Mexico, and then you were in Australia, and that's when, like, your recruiting process started. You were talking to the coaches here, and your final stop before you came to Knoxville, right?
Yes. I went to Mexico first, lived there for a year and a half in the Latin America NBA Academy. And then after that year and a half, they told me they wanted me to go to the Global Academy, which was in Australia. Finally, I went there for another 6 months. Tennessee was actually at the very end of my recruiting process. It was a crazy time too. At that point, I was about to visit Temple in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I was pretty much down just to Temple. And this was, I'd say around October. And literally a week maybe before I visited, Tennessee contacted me. And they were like, hey, like, we know you're going to visit Temple. The only thing we want you to do is don't make any decisions or any rash decisions. Like, give us a chance. If you visit them, then you visit us, and you still like them, we'll be fine, but give us a chance. So I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
and then I think I read in your story, it was like you came to Atlanta, right? And then you were in Charlotte, then you got to Knoxville. So it kind of took you a second to even like get to small Knoxville, Tennessee to come visit.
Well, the funniest part about that story was the way back. And this is something I'll make fun of our basketball ops person. She's great, but I always make fun of her saying that literally on my way back, I can't remember. It was like Knoxville to Charlotte, Atlanta, or Knoxville, Atlanta, Houston, and then I had to fly from Houston to Sydney.
Okay.
That flight was 19 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And that's not the worst part. She made me sit in the middle.
Oh.
That was suffering. And I always
that's
make
awful.
fun of her because I tell her, I'm like, oh, only because I signed on my visit and you knew I was committed that
You put me in the middle.
you just put me in the middle. You were like, okay, we don't care about
We got him locked down, middle seat.
Yeah. I suffered that flight
Oh,
because
that's awful.
you literally can't lean either way.
No, it's so uncomfortable. I've flown to Italy, middle seat, and that was only like 6-7 hours. Still not fun, but I can't imagine 19.
Yeah.
That's brutal. So leaving home at 16, having to become independent, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, moving different places. How did that help you adjust when you did get to Knoxville in the States for the first time in this new environment?
That's definitely another big point in my life that I'm really grateful for. Leaving home when I was 16, I think it just makes you grow, I guess, a lot faster.
Definitely.
It's a maturing process. Your maturing process, it kind of speeds up, and I loved it, to be honest. Makes you way more mature, and the main thing is, like, you're in another part of the world. On a daily basis, you don't have mom and dad to come fix your problems. Like, you got to start figuring stuff out on your own. Literally any problem that you have, pretty much you can call them, but you're not going to be calm all the time like, oh, this happened, oh, that happened. So you get to a point where you kind of understand, like, okay, like, I'm on my own on this. Like, I got to start figuring stuff out or I just won't make it. And I really think that's one of the biggest points that I keep telling people back home. They ask me, like, yo, I got my son that wants to go play in another country. I don't know whether I should let him go or not. And I'm like, let him go, please. And I ask you this, like, coming from me, please let him go, because I am really grateful to be where I'm at. I'm really grateful for the opportunities, but I also believe that my parents letting me go at that age and all that it came with just made me who I am. And that maturing process, it really sped up having to figure stuff on your own.
So when you arrived midway through the 2019-2020 season as an early enrollee, what do you remember first about being on campus those first few days or weeks in Knoxville?
Back home in San Juan, Australia, our school year goes from pretty much March to November, December. It's flipped from here, so you have the summer off.
That makes sense.
And I remember I was about to finish my school year in December, so I was going to be done with all the credits and everything I needed to go to college, and I still hadn't taken my SAT. So in November, we talked about that possibility of me early enrolling coming in December. And they were telling me, like, hey, you can come in December, have a feel for the team, like, see how you feel and everything, and then you pretty much can choose. You can either play right away in January, or you can wait. You can redshirt that rest of the year, and then you're going to be ahead from a true freshman next year. So I remember all that, went back to Australia, finished the school and everything I had to do, and I literally took the SAT the next week, passed it, and then I was like, I can go right now if I wanted to. So that's pretty much what I did. I went back home, I remember, for 2 or 3 weeks,
Okay.
just to have like a little break before I'll come here. And later then, it was like December 27th or 28th, somewhere around that, I was already here.
Yeah. And what was it like for you when you stepped on campus for the first time, got around the guys? What do you remember about that?
It was just, I don't know. It was like weird at first. It was like a shocking,
Sure.
because it was like a new, different world that I was walking into. But it was great. And then I remember I literally stepped on TBA for the first time. We were playing Wisconsin. We lost that game, but I remember literally I came with the bags into the meal room that we were having pregame meal.
Like off of the flight, like you had your bags with you, or?
Yeah.
Oh my
Literally
gosh.
straight from the flight. I came straight here.
Oh wow.
To the meal room, ate something, then watched film with the guys, and then they were out there playing. So it was like right away.
You jumped right in with both feet.
Yeah. And then I didn't play that game, but yeah, it was crazy just to get off the flight first thing. It was like, all right, they're playing, so
Yeah.
I was there, and it was fun.
What did you think of like Thompson Bowling Arena, the fans, seeing everybody there for a college basketball game?
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I saw it first in the visit. I saw how big TBA was and everything, but to me, it was just crazy. Literally back home, right now we have a new arena that it's really, really nice, but even with that, it's probably the nicest arena we have in the whole country, and it sits about 10,000 people at most.
Okay.
So having 21,000 people in the stadium and literally seeing it like being packed, because you could have a 21,000 people stadium, but
Sure.
have 7,000 people attend it, and it doesn't make any difference. But seeing it packed with that many people, it was just,
So surreal.
yeah, it felt like a dream, to be honest.
Yeah. Then things kind of went a little bit differently, maybe I can say, than you expected, because you played your first game against LSU due to an injury and a season-ending injury, surgery. And so you had to step up. And in that game, you hit 6 threes. You were having yourself a time. What do you remember about getting on the court for the first time and having that experience?
The first thing I remember about that game is the first play. Everything felt literally in slow motion. And I hear people saying it all the time, like it felt like slow motion, and I didn't believe it until it happened to me. Literally that play, and I even turned it over. But I remember they passed it to me, and I drove, and I was like, the lane looks wide open. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was in there. And then I thought that the very next second, somebody stripped it on my hands. So I was like, oh.
You're like, welcome to college basketball.
Yeah. But then it was really fun. The next couple possessions after the fast breaks, and I hit a couple threes. And that first feeling of having TBA, like, very loud, just explode out of a couple threes, it was like, to me, it was crazy. It's literally the first time, probably the biggest game I had before. It was in front of, I don't know, probably 800 people, 1,000 people at the most. So playing in front of 21,000 people and getting it that loud, it was just same thing. It felt surreal.
Fulkerson was one of your really close friends when you were here on the team. Can you kind of talk about your relationship with him and what it meant to have him during those, first couple of years and having his support?
I definitely think it was one of the biggest things and the best things that could have happened to me. Literally, when I came in, Folky took me under his wing. He was like a big brother at that point to me. I remember he was a bad influence in terms of cookout. I can tell you that much. I would push him too, but he would be the one pushing it. I remember we would come back from the road. We'd play somewhere late at night. We'll fly right back after the game, and we'll get here at, I don't know, 12, maybe 1 a.m., and we'll look at each other and be like, Cookout run? Sure. And then we'll end up going to cookout right after the game. But yeah, I think having Folky was really big time for me. He introduced me to a lot of people, a lot of friends, even friends that I am still friends with nowadays. Thanks to Folky, and he was that support. Same thing with Eve. I think with Eve too was more of a international connection too.
Okay.
But it was the same thing. Like, they were my support. And, well, I mean, I could say the same thing about everyone. Like, I could say Olivier, Roche, and Joe. We shared so many years after that.
Right.
We spent like 4 years now with Joe 5. That literally, like, they're my brothers, and I know they're going to be my brothers forever. And, yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about sports, how they connect you with people. You can make a lot of really strong bonds, and I truly think that I found family here in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, you were even in Fulkerson's wedding. You were his groomsman. I mean, just because you guys graduate and you leave the program or your time with basketball ends, it just is a testament to show that your relationships never truly stop because basketball stops. Yeah.
Like I was saying, I think that's the beautiful part about basketball, just having the ability to create those connections and bonds and people that I can call family. And I know that no matter where I'm at, I can call them and they're going to be there. It's just amazing.
I want to talk too about Rick, because he's been with you on this entire journey. Can you just talk to me about your relationship with him, what he means to you, and what it's been like to have him during your time at Tennessee?
Coach definitely has meant a lot to me. First of all, I'm grateful for the opportunity they've given me to get a kid out of Uruguay, which at that point probably nobody knew where it was. And nothing, just having the confidence that he has had in me. I think that's something that doesn't happen overnight or happen anywhere else. I think the relationship that we have is great, where we spend, of course, at this point, 5 years together.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten to a point where I know what he's thinking and he knows what I'm thinking. And, like, we can have back and forths all the time about, like, he would ask me, what do you want to do here? Or how do you feel about this? And I would tell him, like, I feel this or I feel that. I think we should run this play. And the fact that he listens, he wants to give us that protagonism of, like, we're the guys that are on the court. What do you see? How do you feel? Just him involving us in that sense, I think it's means a lot. Just shows how much trust we've built over time. I trust him, and he trusts me, and all the other guys too. But that's one of the biggest things with Coach. He really respects hard workers, and I think with him, trust is something that doesn't happen overnight. It's more of a built-up thing through time. So I definitely know he trusts me, Josiah, Zakai, and all the guys that we've been here for a long time. And, yeah, it's just something that is really amazing to know and gives us a lot of confidence, too, knowing that he trusts us and we trust him.
You've obviously played a lot of basketball games here. Can you pinpoint one that was your favorite or most special that you can think back on?
Definitely the SEC tournament final. I'd say both, the semifinal and the final. Semifinal against Kentucky, just having the whole stadium, not the whole stadium, but a good amount of the stadium wearing blue. And just to see how it turned out, we beat them, and then we move on to the final. And then I still remember the final was March 13th. It was my sister's birthday.
Okay.
And I had written 0313 FC, which is Feliz Cumple, happy birthday in Spanish, to my sister. And to me, that's one of the biggest things, how when we won it, she kind of didn't see it, but then we all went live on Instagram, and then I showed it on the live. I think my sister at that point was playing volleyball or handball, whatever she was playing. And then they showed it to her, and she literally sent me a picture crying for that moment. So, yeah, just the whole game and the emotions of winning the SEC tournament, seeing everybody get excited. And I think that definitely those two were the most fun games.
Pretty memorable. Fast forward now, you decided to come back and use your 5th year of eligibility. I need to talk about the Instagram post. Kellen and I talked about it a little bit. I heard there was a caption battle between him and Wyeth about what you're going to post. But the caption on the post was, I need to clear the air about the rumors going around about me. I'm going to say this once. They are absolutely true. See you next season, Vol Nation.
So there's a funny story behind that. First of all, the whole idea of me coming back, you know how I did that video with Josh Mancuso?
Yes.
So we stayed in contact after. He's a great guy. And he even texted me. He was like, if you want to make a video like announcing that you're coming back, I think it would be great. And I was like, I was all about it, to be honest. We had a great feedback coming from the first video.
It was so funny. Your videos with him were so funny.
So I was like, we have to make it happen. So when I first told one of the coaches, I told him, I was like, hey, I'm coming back. I was like, please keep it on the low because we want to make a video announcing it and da-da-da. I don't know how. Somebody had to have snitched. And
It always happens like that.
yeah, and literally I said it a couple hours later. Somebody sends me a screenshot of somebody tweeting like,
Okay.
Vescovi is coming back, da-da-da. So I was like, no way somebody snitched it. And at that point, I couldn't even make the video. I told Josh, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I wanted to do it, but I guess word got out there. And then given that situation, that's when I texted Wyatt and Kellen. I was like, I need a caption. Like, I need to post something about it.
Yeah.
Because word is already out there. And,
Right.
like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
people know already. So that's where it came from, having a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. That's where the idea came. Like, I've heard a lot of rumors.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say what they're talking about me is true.
It's true. I'm coming back. I just thought the caption was so funny because it was very much like, it wasn't dramatic or anything. You're like, you heard the rumors? Yeah, they're true. I'm coming back.
Well, give a lot of credit to Kellen. I
Yes.
think they do a great job, and they're really smart. You can see it on the Vol Hoops account. They're really smart and funny with all the captions and the ideas they have.
Yes, definitely.
They're great at it.
I mean, we talked about SEC Media Days, the bingo card, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So since you've been doing this since you were 15 years old, I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you just take basketball so seriously. You've had to be professional about the game ever since you were 15 years old because you had all of these goals that you wanted to reach, and they weren't going to happen to you by accident, and they weren't going to fall into your lap. So can you kind of like talk about how regimented you are in your approach to the game and just why that's so important to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that go into it. Right now, at this point in my life, I am actually focusing a lot on the sleep, first of all. Literally last night, I went to bed around 9:30.
Okay.
I was already in bed. And just about how good I feel the next morning when I go to bed early, to me, that's one of the best things. Being able to live the next day and not just survive it. Because, when you go late to bed, the next morning you have class, whatever, and then you practice, I'm not going to lie, it's miserable.
Yeah.
It is hard going through weights, film session, and then practice after you had class and everything. You get to a point where it's literally, you feel like you're surviving. You're just thinking about when it's going to end so I can go to bed or something. And that's one of the biggest things that I found now, going to bed early, how much it's changed my days, where now I can live them and I'm looking forward to it and I can make something happen out of it instead of just if I go to bed late and I just got to survive the day. That with paying a lot of attention to what I eat. That's one of the biggest things. Coach makes fun of me. He said it in the phone room a couple times how he said I was fat when I first got here, which I get. I look a little chunky, and yeah. But paying attention to that has also been like a big thing, because pretty much food is the fuel of your body. So whatever you eat is what you are, and knowing that, I'm putting a lot of emphasis in all those things, eating, recovery, we got Normatex, that is like a boot that's compression on your legs, and that helps with the blood flow and everything. Try to get the boots done as much as I can too, just recover, and yeah.
You talked, going back to December 28th, 2019, that you got off the plane, you walked right into TBA, and I read an article that said immediately Josiah welcomed you as soon as you got into the team room where they were eating. Now it's the two of you returning for your final year of eligibility. I think of it almost being like MJ's last dance. Like, this is the last time the two of you guys out on the court together. What are you most looking forward to about finishing your final year out with him by your side?
I think that it means a lot. I know I've said it a lot of times, but Josiah's my brother. We've spent a lot of time together. I could argue that I've seen him more than I've seen my family. Literally for the past 4, now it's going to be 5 years. We've seen each other probably 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day, however many there were. And first of all, I know it's a bond, and he's my family, he's my brother, and I know it's going to stay like that forever. But also I think we're at a point where, same thing with Coach, like we understand each other with Joe. I know what he's feeling most of the times. He knows how I'm feeling. I know if he needs his time, like you just got to let him have his time. He knows if I need my time, he's got to let me have my time. And the relationship we have, I think it's just, it's amazing again. And the leadership, I think Joe's been doing a really good job too. We've been here for 4.5 years, 5, and just being able to tell the guys that are the newcomers, either freshmen or transfers, what it really takes to win in the SEC level and how hard it's going to be. I think it's just something that we've done a lot up to this point, and we're going to keep doing it. And I think that's one of the biggest keys for our season this year.
You mentioned that there's, transfers and freshmen, newcomers on the team. I think there's like 6 or 7 new guys, new faces. What can the fans expect out of this team? What can they look forward to, given that, they know some of the faces, but they don't know everybody on the team?
I think this year fans can expect a lot of fun. I think defensively we're going to try to be the same defensive team that we've been, always ranked 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. That's what we pretty much pride ourselves on. We hang our heads on that. And I think the biggest difference this year is that with all the newcomers, we got a lot of talent offensively as well. So, and I get it. I know some of the games last year were kind of hard to watch in terms of low scores. My mind goes straight to the Auburn game where we won. Probably was like 54-52 or 52-50. And I know those are hard games to watch because it's like not very interesting, not many people scoring and stuff. But I think this year it's going to be a lot more fun. We're going to have a lot more weapons offensively, and defensively we're going to try to be the same team that we've been this whole time.
I can't believe basketball is literally so close. Like, it's right around the corner.
Time has been flying.
So fast. But before I let you go, I want to get to the fun section that we've been waiting to talk about. I've noticed you've been sipping on a drink while we've done this podcast interview. Can you tell me what it is and kind of just explain, like, all the different facets of it?
Oh, I could be hours talking about it, but I'm going to try to shorten it up a little bit.
Okay.
So this right here is called mate. It's a very traditional drink from back home.
Okay.
It's a tea, basically. So you call it mate. You pretty much call mate the whole thing, but really mate is the thing that you call a cup.
Okay.
So this is the mate.
Gotcha.
It's made out of it's kind of a family from the pumpkins. It's a pumpkin, I don't know which type.
Okay.
I don't know what's the name in English. And then it's covered in leather, and then they kind of glue this on top.
Okay.
And then the herbs inside is called yerba mate.
Okay.
That I've heard of it here a lot of times, like yerba mate. A lot of people know what it is. And then this is called bombilla, which it's kind of a straw. I would take it out, but I'll show later. It has a filter in the bottom. So, and then just a regular thermos to keep the water hot.
Okay.
Because I got hot water in here. You would pour it in.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You pour it in the drink, and then the water will kind of mix with the herbs.
Okay.
So the infusion will happen. And then once you're drinking it through the straw, since it has a filter in the bottom, the only thing that you're drinking is the water.
Okay.
And not the herbs.
Okay. And then you've been pouring the water into it the entire interview, so you don't do it all at once. It's like over time you're just continually pouring water into it?
Yeah. So you pour water. So here's the thing.
Okay.
Mate is a very traditional thing back home, and I really love. First of all, when I was a kid, I didn't drink mate. I didn't grow up drinking it.
Okay.
Until it was probably right before I left home, or a year maybe before I left home. I got to the point where I told my family, I was like, I really want to drink mate. Neither of my parents do. They don't like it, but my grandparents drink mate. All my friends did. And to me, the greatest thing about mate is how it like brings people together. It creates kind of an environment that people don't realize it does. For example, now I went back home. One of the main activities that I would do with my friends is literally just go to we live right on the coast. We would literally go sit by the beach and literally just drink mate and talk. Because the thing is, you know how it kept pouring on it?
Yeah.
So I pour water on it. I would drink it. Once I'm done with it, I would pour water and give it to somebody else. They would drink.
Okay.
And then it has like
it's a very community event. Okay.
So you share it, and then that's how, like, I think it brings people together.
Yeah.
Back home, literally, you would go and you would see everybody walking around with this. And, for example, it's a very common thing to go watch basketball, for example. If you go watch basketball, somebody is going to have it, and then, like, you would sit with them, and you would drink mate together while you talk and watch the game. So I think that's the coolest thing about mate, how it has that sense of community and brings people together. And the other thing, I think it's an acquired taste.
I was going to ask about what it tastes like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bitter.
Okay.
So the more since I've been drinking this whole time, it kind of loses a little bit of. It's not as strong as the first couple mates that I pour. But then that's what has kind of a system where you see how up here I have like a little mountain and it's all dry.
Yes.
That's the way that you do it, because now once this loses the flavor,
you have fresh like herbs too. Okay, I got you.
I would move it around.
Okay.
Put the used ones on top, and then the fresh one, the ones that are still dry, I'll put them in the bottom, and I would drink out of those. And it would have strong taste again. Okay.
Do you get the herbs like imported, or can you find them locally here in Knoxville?
Not really. When I first left home, what I would do is every time I left home and I would go back and forth, I would bring pretty much 3 or 4 kilos with me. Okay. Which is, I don't know, what is it, 2 pounds?
Yeah, it's a good amount. I don't know the conversion rate.
I don't either, but it's something like that. So that would last pretty long time with me. Okay. And then every time I need it, I would just bring more from home. And then now I just got to a point where I found a site that literally brings it from Uruguay.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I mean, I pay a little more for it, but at this point, I'm like, it's not worth me having to deal with, like, overweight and all that stuff. Yeah. I just get it imported through that, pay a little more, and it is what it is.
I've noticed, too, when I looked up mate and saw and read articles about it, that a lot of like professional athletes too, I see photos of them drinking it. Like I saw Messi bringing it into a game one time, and how he's got his cup, and it's just a part of the culture. Like everyone enjoys it.
Well, Messi's from Argentina. I'm from Uruguay. We have a lot of things in common. Mate is one of the things. Okay. This is actually funny. I was making fun of Kellen because all the time that I bring mate around, he'd be looking like, oh, you're mate this and that, but he wouldn't talk much about it. And then it happened like a couple months ago where Messi was going into a game. They were literally recording him going into the game with the mate. And I'm like, oh, of course. Now Messi did it. Messi had the mate with him.
Right. So now it's cool. Yeah. Now, I've been doing it first.
Now all of a sudden you want me to be in a podcast with the mate. So
that is funny because he was like, I already have the idea for the fun section. Santi's going to bring in his mate. It's going to be great. And I was like, cool. And then he goes in and tells me the Messi story. And even the rugby team, your national rugby team, had shared it before a match too or something.
Yeah, they had the World Cup in France. And that's a cool video too. It kind of went viral. I think everybody saw it at this point. And it's the same thing, how they're right before warming up for a World Cup game and then drinking mate too.
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I do too. Normally before the games, we have a lot of downtime that we either get to shoot or we eat and we sit around. And I always have a mate with me. And yeah, if you walk in the locker room before a game, you'll see me sitting down just drinking mate.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of caffeine too.
I was going to ask about the health benefits of it because I think there are a pretty good amount of them drinking it, right? Ish?
I mean, the health benefits that I'd say is, first of all, you're constantly drinking water. So it kind of helps you like clean everything.
Yeah.
It's just a constant intake of water. Yeah, the caffeine is definitely a factor. It has a little more than it has more than a tea, but it doesn't have as much caffeine as a coffee.
Okay.
And it's even funny because I have a Uruguayan friend here that we drink mate all the time.
Yeah.
And he has a mate, his herbs, his yerba. It's called for nervous people, which like brands now have moved into. I drink the strongest one because I like the taste and it doesn't really affect me. But as you get older, I make fun of him that he needs his sleep. So he drinks the nervous one, which it's more subtle. Like it doesn't have as much caffeine, but it doesn't taste as good as this one.
Gotcha.
So
they have like variations of it for different reasons of drinking it, but you choose the classic, the traditional one. Okay, Santi, this has been so much fun. I loved learning more about you and then mate and your culture. It was just so interesting to me. But before I let you go, I ask everybody this question. It's controversial.
You're going to catch me off guard with this question. I already know. You told me you were not going to.
I told you, but trust me, you'll respect this one. When you sing Rocky Top, do you woo?
Ooh. That's a good question. When the song is not playing, I definitely do it. Like if I'm just singing it, I don't know, it just gets stuck in my head. I definitely do it. I think I do it.
Yeah, you do? When the band's going after a game, you just won.
I think I woo.
Rocky Top. Woo! You woo.
I think I do.
Okay, good. That's awesome.
I haven't really thought about it, but I think I do.
Well, now we're going to watch this season and make sure that you're telling the truth. Yeah, we'll have eyes on you. Make sure you're wooing down there. Well, Santi, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. This was great.
Thank you very much. Had a lot of fun. And, yeah, always excited to share my story and share about mate now.
Yeah, exactly. And go Vols. Good luck this season.
Yeah, go Vols. Thank you very much.
See, I told y'all it was long, but it was going to be worth it. So thanks for sticking with this longer episode of the Everything Orange podcast. As always, be sure to follow us on all of our Vol Sports platforms so you don't miss out on a single update. But before we go, here's a look at everything going on with Tennessee athletics this upcoming week, starting with tonight. The Lady Vols soccer team hits the road to take on Vanderbilt at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow is a full day, both home and away. Cross country has their SEC championships starting at 10 a.m. for the men and 10:30 for the women in Columbia, South Carolina. Women's golf starts their 3-day Landfall Tradition Tournament in Wilmington, North Carolina. Then women's tennis kicks off their 3-day UT Home Invitational over at the Barksdale Stadium. Swimming and diving will travel to College Station for their meet against Texas A&M at noon. And new to the schedule this weekend is that softball is now hosting an Orange and Blue World Series in Sherry Parker Lee Stadium. The first game on Friday starting at 3:30 p.m. Then on Saturday, Game 2 in the Orange and Blue Softball World Series will be at 2:30 p.m., while football travels up the road to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Wildcats at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Sunday marks the start of the Tennessee basketball season with a top 10 charity exhibition matchup on the road against Michigan State. And what both teams are doing is so amazing. All proceeds from the game will be donated to the Hawaii Community Foundation Maui Strong Fund, providing financial resources to the relief efforts from the devastating Maui wildfires. Tip-off is at 3:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Then at home, softball has their final game in the Orange and Blue World Series at 1 p.m., while volleyball takes on Texas A&M at 2 p.m. On Monday, men's golf starts competition for the 2-day Cypress Point Invitational in California. And then you can get a first look at this season's Lady Vol basketball team in their exhibition game against Carson Newman at 6:30. Then lastly, on Tuesday, you can catch the men at home on Halloween for the first time this season in their exhibition matchup against Coach Barnes' alma mater, Lenoir-Rhyne, at 6:30 p.m. Okay, that is everything that's going on with Tennessee athletics. Tune in next Thursday for another episode of Everything Orange. Bye, y'all.